Alhamdulillah, it is that time again. Increase our worship and plead for forgiveness. Alhamdulillah, it is that time again. Increase our worship and plead for
Need inspiration? Need to brush up on the do's and don'ts during this blessed month? Join us for Sunnahfollowers, Ramadan prep, and allow Ustada Laila Nasheeba to walk you through day by day through this blessed month of Ramadan. This will keep your iman tight, your ibadah right, and keep you pushing in the light. Streaming on all major platforms. Channel Sunnahfollowers.
In the third week of Ramadan. Ramadan is almost over. We'll be entering into the last 10 days in a minute. Excuse me. We'll be entering into the last 10 days in a minute. And I really hope that everybody is reaping the benefits and the rewards of fasting. Your body is used to it. Your body is going through the process as we speak of what Dr. McBride talked about last week. The body, the brain fast too. We talked about the human brain. After fasting is what triggers your metabolism. It triggers your metabolism to your body to cleanse itself of those bad things, the acids and bacteria that's within it, which is why we do the belching and stuff. Okay. And also your body starts the process of eating itself. When I say eating itself, eating the bad things and eating away the bad things. So we're already at that stage, in the third week. The body is going through self-cleansing, self-purification physically. But also, not only are we supposed to be purifying ourselves physically, but Allah tells us in the Quran that fasting has been enjoined upon us so we can become righteous people. It takes 29 to 30 days to get over a bad habit. That's a fact. Allah has given us 29 to 30 days to do away with the bad habits we have, such as gossiping, backbiting, slandering, such as smoking marijuana, smoking cigarettes, drinking, cursing, profanity, disrespecting our parents. We should now be more conscientious of our actions. For the kids who are following me, you should now, in this third week, be aware of the bad words that come out of your mouth. You should be aware of your attitude problems. And you should be able to catch yourself. When you do something that you shouldn't do, you should be able to catch it quickly and correct it. Okay? For those of us who realize that we overeat, we oversleep, you know that about yourself now. And you should be in the process of changing that. For those of us who squander our time with things that are not of importance, we should now know that and be in the process of spending our time better. Okay? So Ramadan, Allah has imposed fasting upon us as a means of us having 29 to 30 days to make ourselves better, to purify ourselves of our defects, and to purify our hearts and reconnect with Him. All of us in this third week of Ramadan, this third week of fasting, all of our hearts should now be connected to Allah, okay? Or connected with Allah. Your faith, Your iman should be high. Okay? You should feel good about yourself. You should realize, wow, I'm not the bad person I thought I was. Okay? You should have hope in your heart now. I can change. There is a chance for me. Before Ramadan, I felt that I was a failure. Now I see that I'm not a failure. As long as my blood is pumping through my body and my soul is here, I still have a chance. And I'm showing Allah that I want that chance. So the hope is there. The love for Allah, the fear of his punishment, the hope is there. So now we're working on character building. We spent the first 2 weeks of Ramadan fasting and purifying our hearts and purifying our souls. Now it's the brain. Now it's character. We spoke yesterday about how we should show gratitude towards Allah. We have to work on being more grateful of the blessings Allah has sent us. Instead of living each day of our lives focusing on the things we don't have. Instead of spending our lives feeling sorry for ourselves, we have to look to see the blessings that are right in front of us that we don't acknowledge. So gratitude. This is a characteristic of the believer. This is a characteristic that we're working on during this 3rd week of fasting. And also, this entails being kind. Being kind. Being kind to others. Being kind to your brothers and sisters in Islam. Being kind to your parents, to your children. Being kind to your co-workers, being kind to your neighbors, and most importantly, being kind to yourself, because some of us are abusive and oppressive to ourselves. So on this 16th day of fasting during the year 2025, I want to speak about the importance of incorporating kindness into your character. Your heart is purified. Your soul is trained. Now let's work on character. So let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And make sure that you guys have me on the big screen TV for the kids. Yeah, make sure that the kids can see this, because this is for the kids too, because we kids can sometimes be hurtful. Children are many times uncensored because of their innocence, and we can be very hurtful. So I really want the children to pay attention to tonight's lecture and take notes. For the parents, make sure you screenshot the PowerPoints and print them out after the class so the kids can staple them together and read over the hadiths and review this stuff. So we're going to speak about how Ramadan is the month of kindness and the importance of being kind. Now, as Muslims, if you truly understand the religion of Islam, you know that we are not terrorists. We're not bad people. For the Muslim who truly understands the teachings of Islam, that person knows to be friendly and likable. You want to be a person of charisma, a charismatic person. When you walk into the room, everybody should want to be like you and want to be around you. Like I had to tell one of the sisters here, you don't want to be the person that when you walk into the room, everybody says, uh-oh, here she comes. Here comes the haram police. Oh, God, here she is. And all the oxygen leaves. Unfortunately, guys, that's how it is with a lot of Muslims today. Some Muslims, you go to the mosque, when some people come in, you're like, uh-oh, time to go. Let me get out of here. I don't want to deal with her and her drama. I don't want to deal with him because everything's haram. Here he come. No, that's not the true believer. The believer is friendly. The believer is likable. The believer is able to mix with the people and have a good relationship with them. The people look up to you. The people gravitate towards you. Subhanallah. The people want to be around you. Uh-oh, I hit the wrong button. I forgot I'm using a different computer. Sorry, I went backwards. All right. Sorry. Ramadan. Okay. So this is something which we need to work on developing. That's what I was telling some of the sisters here. You know, don't be so quick to criticize others. Don't be one of those people that always looks for negativity. That's not us. We don't go around looking for negativity. We don't go around looking for reasons to attack people. As Muslims, we're supposed to give our brothers and sisters in Islam the benefit of the doubt anyway. Okay? You want to be a person who's connected with the people, a person who earns the people's trust. But unfortunately, we don't find that today. You go in most of the masjids and there's sisters that you don't want to go nowhere near, that you don't want nothing to do with because they're just negative people. Okay? So, unless you can get along with the people, how can you convey the message of truth to them? One of the things that I have to emphasize a lot as a daya, as a caller, dawah is not from your tongue. In fact, most Muslims are not qualified to speak about this religion, because the average Muslim of 2025 doesn't understand the basics of this religion. So most of us do more harm than good. We cause more problems than good because the things we say about this religion are not correct. So true dawah is not from what comes out of your mouth anyway. True dawah is your actions. The simple fact that you are a person who's nice and kind, that's dawah. The fact that you do get along with the people, the fact that you are different and distinct, the fact that you are honest and people want to be around you, that's what attracts people to Islam. Your actions, your behavior, not your tongue. And most of us need to stop talking about Islam, because what comes out of our mouth is garbage. And instead, show the beautiful character, show the beautiful behavior that Islam has embraced you with. Subhanallah. So, there are many hadiths that speak about how a person who is friendly and liked by others, that's a person who is truly upon the Sunnah. In fact, listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in an authentic hadith. He said, "Shall I not tell you who amongst you is the most beloved to me and will be closer to me on the day of judgment?" He didn't say the person that reads the most Quran. He didn't say the person that puts up a booth giving dawah. He didn't say the internet influencer. He said the one who will be closest to me on the day of judgment are those of you who have the best attitude and the best character. A lot of these brothers and sisters with these dawah boots, they have the most horrible character. They have the most horrible attitude. They try to force Islam on people. They argue, they debate. The Prophet Muhammad said the people who will be the most hated on the day of judgment are the debaters. We don't debate this religion. There's no compulsion in Islam. We don't try to throw our opinions and views off on others. Those who have the best character, those who have the best attitude, these are the people that will stand with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also he said, those of you who are down to earth and humble, those of you who get along with others, and those of you who the people are comfortable around. You are the ones who are most beloved to me. You are the ones who will be close to me. So now, down to earth. I want everybody listening to me to ask yourself, are you a down to earth person? No, most of you are not. What's a person that's down to earth? This is a person that speaks to the people on their level. This is a person that can relate to the people. This is a person that doesn't try to pretend to be greater than thou or higher than thou. And what's a person that gets along with others? This is a person that doesn't argue. This is a person that doesn't debate. This is a person that doesn't point out your bad thoughts. This is a person that people are comfortable around. People can trust you. People know that they're safe with you. I don't have to worry about this sister here slandering me. I don't have to worry about this sister here speaking about me behind my back. This is a sister I can trust. I don't have to worry if she's going to come in here and tell me that I'm going to hell because I got on fingernail polish. You know, these people who take the oxygen out the room, you people will not be close to the prophet on the day of judgment. But most of us fall in that category. So as we go into this third week of fasting, I want everyone to ask yourself, am I down to earth? Do I get along with others, or do people run away from me? When the people see me coming, do they turn around and walk away? Or when they see me coming, do they greet me and hug me and want me to hang out with them? Subhanallah. And one of the attributes of the believer is that he not only gets along with others and people feel comfortable with him, but also the people like him and he likes people. Are you a people person? Subhanallah. The believer is a people person. Umar was a people person. Abu Bakr was a people person. Salama was a people person. Aisha was a people person. Ibn Abbas, a people person. If the people don't like you, if the people don't want to be around you, then how can you show Islam and its truthfulness to them? And again, it's through our behavior, not what comes out your mouth. The reason why people are not comfortable around you is because of what came out your mouth. Subhanallah. If the people run away from you, then that means that you have no goodness in you, guys. How many of us have no goodness in us? I want you guys to do a lot of self-evaluation this week. As we go into the last 10 days of Ramadan, it's all about self-evaluation. You need to ask yourself, is there any good in me? Do people hate me? Do people run away from me? Do people disappear when I come around, or do they seek me out? The believer has a good relationship with people. There is no goodness in the person who does not get along with people and who people are not comfortable with. And I ain't talking about the jealous people out there. Okay, if you a good Muslim, if you a good believer, people are going to be jealous of you. That comes with the territory. But I'm talking about when you walk into the mosque, does everybody run away? Or do they say, hey, sister so-and-so, hey? When you go to a restaurant, do the waiter not want to wait on you? Or do they come and fight to be around you? When you're in a crowd of people, do people look at you and pick up the vibe and disappear, or do they gravitate towards you? The believer has a good relationship with the people, and the people feel comfortable and safe. It's all about being safe, feeling safe around someone. There are some people that I don't feel safe around. There are some people that you can't pay me to go around, because I know if I go around them, they're getting ready to attack my character, my reputation. You don't want to be that person. Okay? And that's an authentic hadith. By the way, let me put that back here. I want the parents to take a screenshot of that hadith, and there's the source. And by the way, when it comes to hadith, sources are not numbers. The hadiths were not narrated in numbers. Don't ever ask a person to give you a number. That shows you're uneducated. The source is Ahmed and El-Bazar. That's the source. Okay, so take a screenshot of this. The believer has a good relationship with people and they feel comfortable with him. This is from the prophet. The prophet said there is no goodness in the person who does not get along with people and whom the people do not feel comfortable and safe around. So which person are you? Okay. And our prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam set the best example and the highest example of good behavior. He was skillful. He had the ability to soften your heart. And he called the people to follow him. And he demonstrated how to reach a person's heart and win their love. The prophet Muhammad was not a soft-spoken man. Let me set the record straight, because I get so tired of hearing the Sufis and stuff lie on the prophet and say that he was gentle in his, to the point where he was soft-spoken. That's a lie. The prophet Muhammad had a loud voice. Just because a person's voice is loud does not make them harsh. We're living in the days of fitan, where the good appears to be evil and the evil appears to be good. Not only did the prophet Muhammad have a loud voice, so did Moses, so did Abraham. All the prophets did. You have to have a loud voice in order to be able to shake the heart of man and convey the message. They didn't have microphones back in those days, okay? The prophet Muhammad had a loud voice and his voice was hoarse. And he had the ability to shake your heart. He would make his voice rise and he'd also bring it down. That's the technique that I use. That's the technique that all the dai are supposed to use. You have to know how to make your voice go up and down, up and down, up and down, to shake the people's heart, to soften it, and to put fear in it. Where our prophet Muhammad mastered that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he's taught us how to reach people's hearts and win their love and affection. Okay? He was always cheerful. What does that mean? He was happy and easygoing, even though he was at war. The prophet Muhammad spent all his life from the time he received the call to prophethood to his death at war. The companions were at war fighting their enemies. Even though he was at war with his enemies, he was always happy and easygoing. Whenever he came to a gathering, whenever the Muslims gathered together at the mosque, he would sit wherever there was a free space. He didn't tell people to get up and save him a chair or move over. He didn't take a person's seat from them. He would sit right there as part of the crowd. And also, he treated everyone equally so that no one who was in the gathering would feel left out. How many of you do that? He didn't favor, even though Abu Bakr was his best friend, even though Umar was his second best friend. He treated everyone equal in that gathering. He acknowledged everyone's presence. When he talked, he would look at everyone in the room, okay? He would be inclusive to everyone, not exclusive. How many of us do that? A lot of us, we go into a room, we sit with the Arabs because we're Arabic. We sit with the Bosnians because we're Bosnian. We sit with the Nigerians because we're Nigerian. We sit with the Somalis because we're Somalian. No, the prophet wasn't like that, okay? Everybody was treated equally and he acknowledged everyone. And if anyone came to him and asked for anything, he didn't send them away. He would give it to them. if he could. And if he didn't have what they wanted, then he would at least respond with kind words. He didn't do like a lot of the masajids do. Oh yeah, let's talk about that. For you imams out there, how many of you are racist? The African American comes to you with their bills, showing you how they need help to pay their bills. You run them away. But that brother from Gaza comes, that Palestinian comes, you give him all the money you got. How many of us are racist like that? This is going on in the mosques. Okay? That African American can't get a dime of help. But because that person's Palestinian, you giving him everything. The Prophet Muhammad wasn't like that. He didn't favor people over others. He had a good attitude, and his attitude extended to everyone. And he treated everyone as a father would treat all his kids. Okay? And when the people came around him, they enjoyed being in his presence. They didn't want him to leave. They didn't want him to leave. When he would speak, they didn't want him to stop. They want him to keep on. Subhanallah. The people were humble. The people were respecting of their elders. Are we that way today? No. I can post my shorts up on the internet, and I get so many disrespectful kids. I'm talking men and women in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, have no respect. I'm older than all of you. I'm almost 100 years old. I'm an old lady. Don't let the looks deceive you. I'm almost 100 years old. But look how many of these young people have no respect. You know, you talk to me as if I'm on your level. Who are you to try to correct me when you don't even know what the pillars of the prayer are? Okay? The people in the prophet's time, they were respectable of their elders. They showed compassion to the young. They gave priority to those in need. And they took care of the strangers. They respected the strangers. You don't know me. You don't know nothing about me. You don't even know how old I am. So how dare you think you can comment on anything I put out? Shut up and learn. We're nothing like the companions. We call ourselves Salafi. You ain't no Salafi. If the companions were living today, they take your head, man. You're a disgrace because you're nothing like them. Because your role models were not like theirs. Their role model was the prophet. Who's your role model? Tom, Dick, and Harry from off the internet. Okay? Examples of the kind and friendliness of the prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, included how he never disappointed anyone who asked from him. You know, one of the comments that I had from a couple of people, Sister Laila, when you do your classes, if somebody asks you a question, you take too long. What do you mean I take too long? You know, you will sit there all night long. That's what the prophet did. If it takes me all night long, if I can help you to understand this religion, that's my job. That's how the prophet was. He never disappointed anyone who came to ask him anything. He would break it down. He would make it clear. He wasn't sitting there on a time clock talking about, oh, well, let me give you 10 minutes. And that's it. No. That's not how the prophet was. That's not how we're supposed to be. Especially in this era when Muslims are so confused. Muslims don't know truth from falsehood. How can you call yourself a caller to the truth and you brush people away? You give them half an understanding. If it takes me an hour to get a person to understand what a hijab is, I'll give them that hour. If they can understand it in 5 minutes, alhamdulillah. But we're all different. We're all on different levels of understanding. This generation of Muslims, many of us have mental issues. So it might take me an hour to explain what a hijab is to a person. You know, it's patience, man. We don't have that patience. When we talk about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was never argumentative. These brothers, they like to argue and debate the religion. That ain't how the Prophet did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't talk too much and he didn't talk too less. What does that mean, talking too much? Talking too much doesn't mean that it took an hour for me to explain to a sister what a hijab is. No, talking too much means to talk about things that are not of any merit, of any value, to just run your mouth. The Prophet Muhammad didn't sit around just doing frivolous talk, okay? Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never concerned himself with matters that were not his business. Okay? How many of us can say we don't do that? The Prophet Muhammad didn't get into your personal business. He'd answer your question and keep it moving. Okay? If something didn't concern him, he stayed away from it. We want to dip our nose in everybody's business. So, and there are also three things that the Prophet never did to the people. He never criticized either. How many of us are doing that today? Like I said, we're looking for a reason to criticize, and we don't even know the religion. You want to find a reason to criticize me and my website. You hear a jingle. The jingle is nice. You look for a reason to criticize, and when you look like a fool because of things you say, ain't no music in none of my jingles. I don't use music in none of my jingles. But so why are you critiquing it? The Prophet Muhammad didn't do that. He wasn't always looking for the bad in people. He never said shame on you. He never looked for the people's faults. But that's what we do today. You see a person doing good for the sake of Allah, and you want to tear him down. You want to find fault with him. The Prophet didn't do that. He didn't find fault in people. He made excuses. And he never said anything but that for which he hoped would bring reward. In other words, he watched his mouth. He guarded his tongue. A lot of us speak without thinking. And whenever the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke, this shows how his companions were. They would listen. They didn't sit there and interrupt. They weren't typing on the screen while he was talking. They weren't on their cell phones while he was talking. Okay, they weren't scribbling in the sand. They weren't sleeping. They would sit around him and listen earnestly, as if they had birds on their heads. They would wait till he finished speaking, and then they would ask their questions. They didn't interrupt him. So that shows how we have no manners today, how our character is lacking today. Also, the companions never argued with him, and they never argued with one another in his presence. We're so quick to call people out. We want to argue with the teacher. We want to try to challenge the teacher. The companions didn't do that. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very patient, even with people who he didn't know. Okay? And the Prophet encouraged the companions to be patient with the strangers that they didn't know too. He said, if you see someone who is in need, help them. It doesn't matter what race they are, what color they are, even if they're not even a Muslim. If the person needs help, help them. And also the Prophet never praised anyone except from he never accepted praise from anyone who was thanking him for a favor. What does that mean? He didn't allow people to kiss up to him. We call it in America, sucking up. You trying to get on my good side. So you're going to praise, oh, Sister Laila, you so beautiful. Oh, Sister Laila, you so smart. Oh, because you want to get on my good side. Or because you know you want me to ask you for something. The Prophet didn't do that. He wouldn't allow people to do that. Okay? Aisha, radiallahu anha, who was one of his students and his wife, she tells us that he used to be cautious, even when dealing with the worst people. For example, there was a man who was known for being a gossiper and for being a person that likes to argue. The people hated this man because this man did nothing but argue and debate. Well, one day the man came to visit the prophet, and when he was with his wife Aisha, and the prophet asked, "Who is it?" She said, "It's so and so." And the prophet said, "Oh my God, this man always comes around and got something bad." The prophet said, "Let him in." And so Aisha let him in, and she was shocked because even though this man was known for being a troublemaker, the prophet dealt with him nicely, kindly, and gently. And when the man left, Aisha said, "Why did you deal with him so nicely when you know this man is a troublemaker?" The prophet said, "Oh, Aisha, the worst of people is the one whom people don't want to approach because they fear his slander or they fear what he's going to say about them." So in other words, even though this man is a bad man, okay, known for being a troublemaker, I don't want to be known as being like that. I want the people to be comfortable coming to me, asking me questions. I want the people to be comfortable to come to me seeking help. I don't want the people to fear coming to me because they think I'm going to hurt them. So this is how the prophet was. He knew how to deal with the people. Do we deal with the people this way? So thus, guys, this is the 16th day of Ramadan. I want all of us to work on developing our character because we have our souls trained and we have purified our hearts. Now let's work on the brain, the mind. We need to follow the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and treat people in a nice way. Okay? We don't want to be the person who, when we walk in the room, all the oxygen disappears. You don't want to be that haram police that everyone runs away from. You want to be the person of charisma who the people gravitate towards. Okay? And again, who's our role model for this? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.